welcome to the third game of the evening. It is an auto scroller, not really an auto runner because, well, your avatar doesn't have legs. But the game is called TripTrip, and Twilight Winter has been assigned to review this, so take it away.
All right. Well, yeah, TripTrip is a retro style auto runner rolling game, as Adam described it. That is also puzzle based, where you are a ball that can change between the colors of blue, red, yellow, and green, and they must match in accordance with the uh, multiple color of tiles that it rolls along. Otherwise, it will die for some reason. There really isn't much of a there isn't really any story to this game here. Besides that, you're a ball that is sentient apparently and must make its way across these various stages and anyway, it sounds simple at first, but it's actually a little more complex. Besides the threat of dying when touching a color tile that you're not matching to, there's also a threat of rolling off the tiles and dying. There's also various obstacles that you will come across. There's walls and there's also the various stage-based hazards, world-based would be more appropriate. There's 9 worlds that you traverse through, and each one is thematic and will have their own set of obstacles. For example, there's a volcano-based world, and as you can guess, you will have to dodge fireballs that will rain down up on you every time the volcano erupts. There's also a castle stage that you'll come across that will have more walls than most other stages. That will occasionally make up passages that you must quickly go through, or or else you'll run out of screen and die. There's also the occasionally there will be rain that will obscure your view. I personally did not find that much of a threat, quite as much as the fireballs were. But let's see, lost my train of thought there for a moment. Besides the different, what makes up the difficulty for the most part of this game is actually the difficulty settings for the game. Every time you begin a new game, I'm being repetitive there. When it comes to normal and hard difficulty, there really isn't much difference between the two. Your ball will have 5 lives on both settings, though there are there's also less checkpoints that you must touch, and like I said, and as you heard, you have to touch them. Otherwise, anytime you die, you will have to start back at the previous checkpoint that you touched, and have done it more times than I care to admit. Let's see now. However, easy mode is different from the other two because you actually have a health meter there, and it's measured in percentages. And
instead of just losing in one hit.
Yeah, instead of dying one hit, you you just take damage. Even if you roll off the tiles, you won't die instantly. But the damage varies between what hits you or touches you. Like the fireballs will do more damage than touching a opposing tile color or rolling off the tiles completely. There are also power-ups throughout the stages. No, there are only two really. There's the lives power-up, which will of course restore life, but it also acts as your health restorative on easy mode as well. There's also the jump power-ups, which you can stock up to 3. And you use these...
Can you jump without the power-up?
Only on certain tiles. There's these tiles that...
oh, the J's.
No, it's not the J's. There's these tiles with arrows on them that when you cross them, they'll cause the ball to hop like you're using a jump power-up. You don't start seeing those until the later stages, though, or later worlds. But yeah, like I was saying, there's you can stock up to 3 jump power-ups, and you can use those at any time to clear gaps or certain color tiles if you wish. Oddly enough, you can't jump over walls for some reason. I found that a little odd. I guess might make things a little too much easier, I guess. So what else? This which one do I go with first here? I guess I'll start with the powers. You can acquire up to 4 powers as you progress through the worlds. Starting with the second world, I'll get to that in a moment here as to why. You can get slow-mo, which, as it suggests, can slow the screen progression and give you time to like change color or assess which way you might want to go. There's immune, which will make you invincible to all tile colors. This won't make you immune to rolling off of tiles, though, not jumping over them. Ghost, which will allow you to pass through walls. And speed, which will increase the speed of your ball, which is most useful for passing through any passages that you will wish to go through quickly in emergencies. All the power-ups have their own individual bar that's stocked up to 3 separate bars. And with each use of the power-up, they'll drain that bar. And eventually, if you completely deplete the bar, you won't be able to recharge it until you complete a world.
Oh.
So you want to use those wisely. Now, as to how you acquire these powers, every 3 stages in a world, you will face a boss. And I wouldn't necessarily call all of them bosses, though. Some of them are more like challenges than actual bosses. they're more like puzzles, but you do actually face an opposing ball that has a special ability. These aren't based on the powers that you acquire from them, but when you defeat them, you starting with the second boss, you do acquire the first power up from it. But anyway, each boss or challenge is different, and how you have to defeat it or solve it. Though none of them are especially difficult. They're pretty easy to solve upon like the first minute into the battle. Nothing especially difficult. But of course, on the harder difficulties, that may be a different story, though. Let's see now. What else is there? Oh yeah, there's the secret objectives. Up in the normal and hard difficulty, there are these bonus objectives that you can accomplish for each world. And if you manage to finish these objectives, they are different from one another. Like in the first world, for example, the secret objective there is trying to traverse on the gray tiles, the neutral tiles. I didn't mention that, but there are neutral tiles that you can touch regardless of color. But try to traverse those as much as possible to feel a meter there. And if you fill that meter up, and at the end of the world, you acquire a token. And upon acquiring all 9 tokens, this will unlock a secret. I won't really get into that. But it's there, though. You'll notice it in starting with normal mode, as I forgot to mention it there. Let's see. What else?
So I have a question.
Shoot.
How do you control your color changing? Is it like always in a sequence, or do you have like 4 different buttons to control your colors, or what?
Yeah, I was actually about ready to get to that, actually. Yeah, there's 4 different buttons. This gets into about the 2 different control options you have. Yeah, there's 4 separate buttons and that you use, and in my opinion, concerning the 2 different control types you can use, there's keyboard and controller, and I have to say use controller for this game because I found the keyboard option to be uncomfortable. Also, the neat thing is if you have an Xbox style controller, the face buttons are the same color as the 4 buttons you can use to for the color swapping, which I thought was pretty neat, honestly. But yeah, use a controller. That's my opinion on that. Because I found the keyboard controls to be kind of uncomfortable and annoying.
Mm-hmm.
In this game's case. Let's see now what else. I think that's about it for gameplay. I don't think I've forgotten anything. Next, I'll talk about the visuals. As you can tell, these are, of course, 2D sprite-based. kind of looks like something between perhaps NES or SNES, well, 8-bit or 16-bit graphics. Probably closer to 16-bit, honestly.
Kind of Windows 97-ish to me, or Windows 98-ish.
Yeah.
Like, there's color gradient, but it's usually fairly simple color gradients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds about right, honestly.
The only thing that's like actually complicated is like when there's rain or something, or
yeah, I agree. They're nice though. I have nothing negative to say on them, and that's the game's charm because of getting to the music. It's chiptune based and sounds very close to NES music, which is the most standout part of the game itself. It has a really good soundtrack. Especially the certain worlds. Each world has its own individual music, and you hear the same thing throughout all those 3 stages. But the music I thought that stood out the most was the final boss music. Sounded really Toho-ish, in my opinion. And the funny thing is, and one of the achievements is actually references Toho too.
Well, some of these bosses look a little bit bullet curtain-y.
Yeah, the final boss is especially very bullet curtain-y. Yeah. And though not all, like I said before, not all of them do that though. Some of them are actually more puzzle based and an actual boss fight. But yeah, the music was my favorite part of this game, to be honest. I won't say that I have the terrible reflexes. I usually have pretty good ones, but this game could be frustrating at times. And that's why I went through easy mode and completed it. I just didn't quite have the patience for normal mode. I could get clear about the first world. Well, the first 2 worlds, actually. But it's not a bad game, though. I can recommend it to anybody who's willing to test their reflexes, challenge themselves, their ability to time the color swapping. It kind of becomes almost like a rhythm game at some points. And at $3, it's not a bad price for the game. But if you like the soundtrack, well, for the soundtrack, if you like NES style music, or 8-bit music, chiptunes, the 358 is not a bad option either. Overall, if you can go wrong if you decide to try this game out. It's only $3, and I say go for it if you're the kind of person who likes a challenge. And that's it for me.
Okay. So yeah, that'll about do it for TripTrip. Stay tuned after the break as Petty Fan will attempt to review A Glider's Journey.